Flock, what's going on? It is 4:10 Eastern in the late afternoon here on the 14th of October, stream number 3. You know how it goes, day after game. So the Ravens take care of business at home on a glorious day in Baltimore over the Commanders. Battle the Beltway, owned by the Ravens for the next 4 years until they play the Commanders, unless, barring something unforeseen, they could potentially meet up in the Super Bowl. You never know. But 30-23 was the final. I'm glad you're here. We've got a lot to discuss. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond, and I would be remiss. I love when Super Chat donations come in all the time. But when they come in prior to me coming on, I got a special place in my heart for that. Isaiah Cabell. Hopefully I pronounced that the right way. IC. Let's go with that. Hey, Bobby, just wanted to let you know that I enjoy your content and your work ethic. You and Sarah continue the great work. I appreciate you, man. That was super kind of you. And obviously this is our time of the year. So we're just trying to capitalize on what a lot of this NFL world is talking about right now. And that is your 2024 Baltimore Ravens, who have ripped off 4 straight wins, sit at 4-2 right now atop the AFC North with Pittsburgh. Steelers beat the Vegas Raiders on Sunday. Cincy locked in its second win of the year on Sunday Night Football in the Meadowlands over the Giants. And so here we go. And Cleveland loses, by the way. So the Browns are sitting at 1-5. They're in no man's land. And the Ravens travel to Tampa Bay coming up 1 week from tonight, Monday Night Football against the Buccaneers, who hung 51 points on the New Orleans Saints over the weekend. Can't wait to dig into that matchup throughout this upcoming week. What I wanted to begin with was Bill Belichick's comments. Feels as if it's weekly at this point about not just the Ravens offense, but what he's seeing from Lamar Jackson. And there's also some talk, and Sarah and I, of course, spent a good deal talking on this during our Ravens Lunch Hour live stream earlier today. But could perhaps the Ravens pull off a teammate duo of an NFL MVP and an Offensive Player of the Year? Has not happened since 1999, the greatest show on turf, Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. So it's early. It's early. We're only 6 weeks into this season, but that's the kind of attention that this duo is garnering. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I appreciate the Super Chat donation. Glad you guys can be with me. And here is what the great Bill Belichick had to say about Lamar Jackson's recent play in Baltimore.
They really look good, but I'm with you. I think Lamar has done a really good job this year. Best I've seen him in terms of looking downfield when he buys time in the pocket. It's not just pull it down and run; it's pull it down and look downfield. He's made a lot of downfield throws as he's scrambled around. The perimeter running game has been really great for the Ravens. They're really good at the point of attack, with Richard and what they're doing on the end of the line of scrimmage. But they've gotten a lot of plays like this on cutback runs. And I think what you're seeing is everybody on the offensive line and even the backside linemen and backside receivers are really hustling and blocking hard because they know the guy who's got the ball might bring it back here to the backside, and every block's important. So as a team, they're playing extremely well offensively and just getting a lot of big plays from the running game, an incredible number from the running game, which has opened up the play action game. Lamar's played really good. Flowers has given them some explosive plays. And then defensively, we know they're good against the run. It's just how well can they hold up in the passing game. They couldn't hold up very well against Cincinnati. That's a concern. So there's something that they're going to have to do well going forward is be able to defend the passing game. I know they beat Cincinnati, but in a lot of ways, they were fortunate to beat Cincinnati. That could easily gone the other way. So yeah. I think that's an area they got to improve in.
Tell you what, I think I'm going to get clocked, unfortunately, for potential copyright because of that game highlight that was played within the Pat McAfee show, which has happened in the past. The NFL is really cracking down. So let me do this just in case I have to edit or trim that afterwards, post-production here. I'm going to go ahead and run that once more. Listen to what Bill Belichick had to say, just in case you're just tuning in, about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense.
Boy, they really look good, but I'm with you. I think I think Lamar's done a really good job this year. Best I've seen him in terms of looking downfield when he buys time in the pocket. It's not just pull it down and run; it's pull it down and look downfield. He's made a lot of downfield throws as he's scrambled around. The perimeter running game has been really great for the Ravens. They're really good at the point of attack, with Richard and what they're doing on the end of the line of scrimmage. But they've gotten a lot of plays like this on cutback runs. And I think what you're seeing is everybody on the offensive line and even the backside linemen and backside receivers are really hustling and blocking hard because they know the guy who's got the ball might bring it back here to the backside, and every block's important. So as a team, they're playing extremely well offensively, and just getting a lot of big plays from the running game, an incredible number from the running game, which has opened up the play action game. Lamar's played really good. Flowers has given them some explosive plays. And then defensively, we know they're good against the run. It's just how well can they hold up in the passing game. They couldn't hold up very well against Cincinnati. That's a concern. So there's something that they're going to have to do well going forward is be able to defend the passing game. I know they beat Cincinnati, but in a lot of ways, they were fortunate to beat Cincinnati. That could easily gone the other way. So I think that's an area they got to improve in.
Bill Belichick on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, very complimentary of Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense. And so too is quite a few folks, including Sheil here from The Athletic, who tweeted out that Lamar could not miss on Sunday. He is third in EPA per pass play, which measures efficiency, and eighth in the entire NFL, not among just quarterbacks in rushing yards. Okay. So this guy is not only dicing you up through the air, but he's a top 10 rusher right now at the quarterback position and just past the great Cam Newton, one of the greatest dual threats that the NFL has ever seen, for second. And he now stands alone at second all time in quarterback rushing yards. He is closing in on Michael Vick, and he is on pace to surpass Michael Vick this year. Number 8 is inevitable. This duo is inevitable. The Ravens are first in offensive DVOA. And as Sheil writes here, it sounds foolish to say for a guy who has won 2 MVPs, but he thinks this is the best he has ever played. And my, oh my, is that music to this fan base's ears. The leaders in yards per carry this season, with a minimum of 45 carries being the threshold: Lamar at 6.3, Derrick, his running mate, at 5.9. Just ridiculous. And then through the air on Sunday, yet another efficiently dominant day for number 8. 20 of 26, 323 yards, a touchdown, a pick that really wasn't his fault. And you see the way he spread this thing around. He is distributing the football. He is making diagnoses at the line of scrimmage, check downs, hitting the easy throw. Screen game has really been working well thanks to Todd Monken's design and Zay Flowers and Justice Hill cashing in. So it's just, there are too many numbers to dive into. Look at on throws past the sticks over the past 2 weeks. 25 of 35, 439 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, clean games, no picks, and a PFF grade of 93.3 overall. Year 7 for Lamar. Could it be that we're witnessing the best we've seen to date? Unreal. Listen to the Athletics conversation on the Ravens offense.
Ravens offense and all of the things that they're bringing to the table, you have every right to be extremely excited about where this group can go, because I do feel that right now with Henry, with Lamar in year 2 of this system, and with the way that a couple of the pass catchers are playing, I thought Bateman had a really nice day today. I think Flowers has kind of taken his game up to the next level. We saw a little bit from Mark Andrews in this game. I think this group overall is more dangerous than they were last year. And maybe that's offset a little bit because we have some more questions about the defense, but I trust the defense just because they're so talented to kind of find their footing over the course of the year. And even if they can get to be like an average-ish, slightly above average-ish unit, I do feel like this offense right now, heading into year 2 with Monken, has more answers than they had last year, even if they had the MVP of the league at quarterback.
I think I'm with you on all of that. And my favorite part of it is playing Lamar Jackson is frustrating on its own. And now we've added the element of Derrick Henry, and not just for what Derrick Henry gives you in general. but there is no running back in the league who has that late fourth quarter just completely demoralizing run the way that Derrick Henry has. Like,
It's
there are
so
times where
perfect.
when he gets 2 steps on the perimeter and you're like, oh, game's over. He just calls game, and that's it. And like, to add that on top of how stressful it is to play against Lamar Jackson for 57 minutes or whatever it is, to add that closing element to it, this team is just scary, man. And I feel like what we've seen over the past month is more their true form than whatever some of the weird stuff we saw that first 2 weeks.
Scary indeed. You're getting a lot of that kind of characterization here when folks are trying to make sense of what we're watching right now in Baltimore. And a few numbers that make sense to me from Sunday, which led to this kind of offensive dominance, this demoralizing state, right? Where the defenses are often left in after playing the Ravens, is things like these. And I often refer to them as the 3 T's. If you can win the 3 T categories, you can often win football games. And the Ravens won 2 of these 3 categories on Sunday, which led to obviously a win over Washington. Third down efficiency, time of possession, and the turnover battle. The Ravens won 2 of the 3, like I mentioned. They did not win the turnover battle. Washington played a clean game, and Lamar, of course, had that opening drive interception, which was, for the most part, on Mark Andrews. Time of possession was dominated by Baltimore. 36 minutes and 8 seconds they possessed the football for. Washington, 23 minutes, 52 seconds. The Ravens had drives of 94 and 93 yards that ended in points. Todd Monken is methodical. Todd Monken is variety-driven. He's getting everybody involved. That is skull-crushing drives where your offensive unit, in the Commanders' case, is just sitting there waiting, thinking about how many points it's going to have to put up on a day that the Ravens are clicking on all cylinders. Okay. And then third down efficiency, like I mentioned, 6 for 10 were the Ravens. Rashad Bateman, a couple key conversions right there, right, to sustain those drives, to keep the chains moving, to keep them honest, and obviously to marry the passing game with the run game. It is such beautiful symmetry right now, such beautiful balance that we're watching Todd Monken orchestrate this offense with. And it's a thing of beauty. More on Lamar, more on a former NFL player's, I'd say, pretty hefty statement in terms of what he thinks we're entering into in terms of the Lamar era, coming up in just a second. But first, this episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. If you want to learn more, there is a pinned comment in the live chat. But the big news, if you're just catching up, rates are dropping, and this could mean big savings for your mortgage. Now could be the perfect time to refinance and lock in a lower rate to reduce your monthly payments. And as a proud supporter of my channel, Primary Residential Mortgage is going to cover your closing costs up to $750 for applications that are submitted by February 9th of 2025. You can take advantage of this special offer by simply applying through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. All this information is at the top of the show notes. That specific link to apply is also pinned in the live chat. You can see it right there as a comment. All you have to do is mention my name throughout the process. Primary Residential Mortgage has been with me for over a year now. The home buying journey, if you're trying to start this, if you want to get your first, if you want to get another home, whatever, wherever you are in your life, PRMI is a great way to start. They're going to help you navigate, and I just trust them wholeheartedly, and I think you should as well. So more information on the show notes. Special thank you to Primary Residential Mortgage for continuing to believe in what I'm building and support this show. So everybody keeps talking about the then and now, right? And when I say the then and now, is Lamar playing better than he was last year, which obviously was an MVP campaign? Well, Kyle Barber, beat reporter for the Ravens, is doing a darn good job here at tracking so far through 6 games, Lamar 2024 versus Lamar 2023. And as you see, he's got 276 more passing yards. He's got 5 more passing touchdowns, 9 fewer sacks taken. Show some love to the offensive line. 47 fewer sack yards, 76 more rushing yards on just 4 more carries, 0.85 more yards per carry, 2 fewer rushing touchdowns, and 1 fewer fumbles lost. I get it. If you were to pick between the 2 MVP seasons, you'd probably go 2019, because I think a lot of MVP voters felt like last year nobody truly had one of those astronomically special years, even though what Lamar does astronomically special often cannot be measured, often does not show up in the box score. I think we can all agree on that. But these numbers certainly indicate that Derrick Henry's arrival is allowing Lamar to continue to flourish. Lamar himself in year 7, with more playmaking ability around him than ever before, is allowing him to flourish. Todd Monken, year 2 in the pro-style offense, is allowing him to flourish. His continued health, his decision-making, right? This is a big picture body of work trend that Lamar's heading in the right direction. He continues to rise up the ranks in terms of accolades and record books. He improved the 22-1 against NFC opponents with that win on Sunday against the Commanders. We'll see if Tampa has something to say about that 1 week from tonight down in Buccaneers country. There hasn't been no update, by the way, on whether or not that game will be played there, meaning John Harbaugh at his podium press conference today said that they're planning on going down to Tampa next weekend for Monday Night Football. Listen to what former NFL linebacker Luke Kuechly had to say with Kay Adams about where he thinks Lamar is at this point in his already storied career.
His career is known for 300-plus yards in back-to-back weeks. He's already won 2 MVPs, Luke. Is Lamar even better this year?
Well, I think I think so. I think he's into the get into the prime of his career, and they've obviously brought Derrick Henry in. I think Monken's done a great job, but now look at who he's got on the offensive side of the ball. I think, Mark Andrews has been really good, but now Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, in that 12 personnel set they have, they can run all their run game stuff. They can be big. They can go power football. They can put Pat Ricard in, and they're not limited as a receiver from the receiver threat with having 2 tight ends in Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think everybody in the NFL would love to have both those guys. But, I mean, all Lamar has really ever done is win games and score points and go to the playoffs. I mean, he's been, I think, 5 out of his 7 years in the NFL, the Ravens have gone to the playoffs. So
yeah,
I just think they're big, they're physical, they know what they are. Lamar's a problem.
Yeah,
and
I think what you're saying is interesting and crazy because, well, firstly, Todd Monken lets the game come to Lamar. It's very obvious. So what you're saying about the Eagles, we're seeing how successful it can be in a place like Baltimore. The other thing that's crazy is that you're saying that he's getting into the prime of his career and he has 2 MVPs already, and then he's getting better, and I think you're right, and I just think that's terrifying. And as we said, we both agreed last week, like, what a dangerous squad.
The prime of his career. Lamar turns 28 this upcoming January. I'll react to that in just a second, but just in case you missed this morning's broadcast, Nate Burleson, Matt Ryan, 2 former NFL players respectively, had this to say on the NFL on CBS broadcast yesterday after watching what Lamar did against the Commanders.
Couple of weeks, just think about how well this offense is grooving. You got the tight ends that are making plays. Wide receivers are now stepping up and saying, hey, Derrick Henry, you don't need to hold us down all game long. You could take a couple of quarters off and then close it out just like a pitcher in Major League Baseball. But the one thing I can appreciate about this team, if they go up against a squad that wants to bring the heat, because that was the Commanders, they blitz 40% of the time. Lamar Jackson versus the blitz today, 10 for 11, 162 yards, which means if you're going to bring the heat, then I'm going to turn up the flame a little bit on your defense.
And what I saw was all of that pressure was him delivering from the pocket.
Yes.
Right? And that, to me, is the scariest thing if you're going against the Ravens. He's got the ability. We saw the QB run where he's outside of it. He can burn you with his legs. I think he had 40 yards rushing today. But delivering from the pocket over the middle of the field to the outsides, using all of the different targets that we saw today, That's a dangerous Lamar Jackson.
From the pocket. Oh, by the way, can still gash you on the ground. He's a top 10 rusher right now. You see what this offense has done over the last 2 games, courtesy of that CBS graphic. 41 points in Cincy, 520 total yards, 6.8 yards per play. Yesterday against Washington, 30 piece, 484 yards, 7.4 yards per play. Todd Monken's got this group absolutely rolling right now, and Lamar is the catalyst. Derrick Henry may put them over the top and may be a co-closer, and definitely is a co-closer that Lamar has never had at his disposal, offensively speaking, through 7 years in this league. But it all runs through Lamar. He is the straw that stirs this Baltimore drink, and it is just absolutely fantastic to watch. The highest graded Ravens, of course, Lamar was one of them with an 82.3 overall grade. Zay Flowers leads the way with a 90.2 grade. Mark Andrews, 85.8. Good to see him involved, tying the great Todd Heap for most touchdowns in Ravens franchise history at 41. All records are meant to be broken, as I texted Todd yesterday. Still haven't heard back from him yet either. Travis Jones, 83.7. That guy, he is clogging up the middle. It's exciting to see the development of Travis Jones along that defensive front. And Kyle Hamilton, of course, is in on this as well, 82.5. I'm still super impressed by that one rep between him and Terry McLaurin. Just a hit stick, perfectly clean technique there from Kyle, and just a better football player, or as good of a football play, right, as you will see from Terry McLaurin, who's a dog, and he's been around for a long time. He's dealt with a lot of BS, by the way, in that previous regime. For those of you who, Redskins prior to the Washington football team and the Washington football team, and now the Commanders, new ownership group, new head coach, new franchise quarterback who is exceptional. There's a lot to be excited about. But at the same time, the Ravens understood that we're still here and you're not quite at our level yet. And that's fine. Like, look, I'm taking nothing away from the Commanders whatsoever. Again, first-year head coach, first-year owner, at least in the NFL side of things. I know he owns other franchises, but outside of in other pro sports areas. But they didn't have Brian Robinson. They had a couple injuries in game. I think they just lost Jonathan Allen to a torn pec. I saw Grant Paulson tweet that out, who joined us. Yeah, a pec tear. He's going to undergo surgery. He's out for the year. So that's tough for their defensive line. But I was just really impressed by what I saw from the Washington Commanders. And Jaden Daniels is so savvy in the pocket. They found their guy. And if he continues to play this kind of football, they're going to be a playoff team. And they're going to win that division. I'm not saying it's the hardest division. Obviously, that division's soft, NFC East. But they should have no problem. No problem winning that division. The guest lines are open if you guys would like to call in. We'll open up some opportunities to get your perspectives on yesterday's 30-23 victory against the Washington Commanders. Do have some takeaways from John Harbaugh's Monday press conference from earlier. But before we get to those, how about Yannick Ngakoue back for his second stint in Baltimore? He was a practice squad elevation back-to-back weeks. Would probably assume that he'll be up on the 53-man roster as a mainstay coming up here shortly after he runs out of elevations at 3. But Yannick had 4 pressures, a sack, a quarterback hit, 2 hurries on 16 pass rush snaps. So showing some juice, and that group needs it. Looking like a fresh Yannick Ngakoue, off to a good start. And the Ravens production's postgame locker room chat caught him when John Harbaugh presented a game ball to him, saying the following, quote, "I'm not a real good public speaker like that, but I just want to leave you all with this. Life is short. Cherish every moment. Cherish every opportunity. I was watching you boys play in week 1 versus the Chiefs, and I wanted to be there so much. So I'm just thankful and grateful for you guys bringing me back in. I love y'all for real. The makeup, the DNA, the integrity, the want, the desire. So many glue guys make up this locker room. Yannick's first stint did not end well. At least that was the thought. That was the tea leaf. That was the reports back a few years ago when they acquired him in season as a one-year rental with Wink Martindale's system. But here he is several years later. He's been with several different organizations since. But this guy's playing some good football. And the Ravens pass rush, as we always know, there are always opportunities to boost your pass rush room, which will only help the issues that the Ravens have had on the back end in their secondary. How about Brandon Stephens? Drew some criticism, not just on Sunday for his single coverage technique, but also in recent weeks as well. And when asked about Brandon giving up some yards this year, John Harbaugh said the Ravens probably play single high man coverage more than most teams, which leaves their corners on an island. Obviously, that's part of the deal at that position. The quote, "We don't protect our corners at all costs. And opponents have put great wide receivers on Brandon and thrown fades against press man. I think he's held up really well. There are plays he'd want to have back, but not too many where I'd say, hey, that's poor technique. Really none. You coach the details like his leverage on wide receivers, and he's all ears. I feel good about the way Brandon's playing. I think it's been a positive and plus for us. I mean, a major positive and plus." This about Brandon Stephens, former college running back, somebody who was drafted out of SMU, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a dude who is coming off a breakout season. And what I want to do is pull up a screenshot of his coverage that he had in the front left-hand side, right up against the pylon, right up against the corner of the end zone, in that Terry McLaurin touchdown. Because to me, this is the type of play where you just tip your cap if you're a Ravens fan. Here it is. This resulted in a touchdown. Awesome angle from the pylon cam. Just a ridiculous catch by Terry McLaurin. And Jaden Daniels put it only where he could go get it. And as Jackson says here on X, there was zero separation. He was blanketed. He was a cloth. And yet I saw him getting dragged for this play. Really? Come on. We can knock him for other areas like this somewhat of a trend that we're seeing. Spatial awareness, ball awareness, not turning his head around. But this type of this play right here, I'd be hard pressed to find a legitimate reason to critique Brandon Stephens for this play on Terry McLaurin. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. I get it. Avery, I hear you. You know, you want him to locate the ball better. You want him to have better ball awareness. But this guy has been blanketing. Now, here's the thing. When you got those big body receivers that he matches up with, and this is where Keon Coleman got his number a couple times in the left-hand side of the field at the bank on that Sunday Night Football game a few weeks ago. When you get the big bodies that can go up and over you, that's where he's really going to get burnt if he doesn't have ball awareness. But when you're blanketing coverage like this with the Terry McLaurins of the world, and you guys are similar height, similar measurables, you're going to have a really hard time. Like, wide receivers are going to have a really hard time locating the football, or at least getting in a point where they can get their hands in a position to catch the football. So I think that there's areas where we can nitpick with Brandon Stephens, but as I look around the secondary, there are a lot of other areas that are more pressing and honestly, more liable right now. More vulnerable. More areas that teams have exploited. And somebody who hopefully is going to help out with that is this guy, Arthur Maulet. John Harbaugh mentioned during his press conference today that he is, quote, very hopeful that Arthur will be back this week, and there's a good chance that he will be. They'll make a game decision based on how he practices come Monday. Keaton Mitchell, no change in his status. Very optimistic and positive. The belief all along is that it's been at some point in the early part of the second half of the season. We're 6 weeks in. Do the math on that. But Arthur, nickel corner, unsung guy from a year ago, hard-hitting, highly physical, understands AFC North football. He'll help out a secondary that's had its fair share of inconsistencies. And John did admit that there were, again, a handful of plays that these guys would want back. I'm sure Marcus Williams could think of a couple, including that. Was it the first or second Terry McLaurin touchdown? I guess it was the first one, right? I can't remember the halves. Didn't he have one in the first half, one in the second? Yeah, McLaurin had one in the second, one in the fourth. So Brandon Stevens, the one that we just dissected there on the pylon cam, that was in the fourth. His second quarter touchdown was when he burnt Brandon right off the line. And then Brandon was playing catch up. And then Marcus Williams got fooled by Jaden Daniels' eyes. So we can sit here all day long and nitpick this secondary. They're heading in the right direction. They're still not where they want to be. But as Sarah asked me earlier today on our noon lunch hour live stream, what area would you have to choose between secondary, pass rush, wide receiver to address at the upcoming November trade deadline? I thought about it for a second and I said pass rush. Let me know what you guys think. Which area between the secondary, pass rush, and wide receiver room would you want to address the most at the November 4th or 5th, one of those two dates, trade deadline, which is coming up in just a few weeks from right now? Appreciate you guys for being with me here this late afternoon. Over 700 of you concurrently watching with me. Please like the video if you're enjoying today's show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my live content. If you'd like to call in, I just dropped an access link in the live chat. Would love for you to do so. Please connect with me on social media if you haven't already done so. You know where it goes. Super active across all platforms this time of year. You can connect with me on Instagram at Bobby Baltimore. And as always, Twitter and X at Bobby Baltimore as well. And would love for you to consider joining the Bobby Baltimore Discord server, which is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. All that information can be found in the show notes below. I'm continuing to do game recaps as well. I'll show you last night's, and we'll keep the conversation moving just because I'm trying to get more involved for those of you who, trying to cater to those of you who are interested in the short consumption types of content. The ones that are, in this case, under 90 seconds, like last night's post-game Instagram reel. Here's what it sounded like. Let's do the screen share feature. Head on over to Instagram. Here's the profile. You can find me right here, as always. Easy. And here's was last night's. Following Ravens Commanders. First and foremost, Baltimore is now 4-2. They've won 4 straight games after starting 0-2, and it kind of feels like they're on the verge of going on a significant run. The Ravens have now rushed and passed for at least 150 yards and a touchdown in 6 straight games, which is an NFL record. They're winning with balance, they're winning with variety, and they're now starting to stack games. Lamar is now 22-1 against NFC teams. It's just utterly dominant. It's still hard to believe that Daniel Jones and the Giants are the only NFC team to have beaten him in his now 6+ year career in the NFL. And they have 2 closers. Like, make no mistake about it, Lamar Jackson will always be, and he's proven time and time again that he can be a closer. But now there's 2 closers. And Derrick Henry is Baltimore's Mariano Rivera. The dude had 24 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they just look unstoppable at times. Drives of 93, 94. Todd Monken, this dude's in his bag. The Ravens defense is a work in progress, and we'll have that conversation another day. But this team feels like it's a wagon right now. And next up, Monday Night Football in Tampa against the Bucs. Ravens are on a run. Some post-game thoughts. All right, so that is yesterday's. Again, you can hit me up on Instagram at Bobby Baltimore, and let's keep things going. Beau Brade, 19 special teams snaps, made his NFL debut. The undrafted rookie safety out of Maryland, and maybe this is one of the reasons why I'm not as gung-ho about adding to the secondary at the deadline because of what they have in the stable in Beau, in our Darius Washington, right? And other dudes who deserve a chance at some point here. The TJ Tampas, the Sanusi Canes, whether it be through the draft or in Beau's case, undrafted rookies, they have some talent here. Now, it's unproven, it's newly minted, it's inexperienced, but they spent some draft capital there. And it's not like you can't say that from a pass rush standpoint. But does anybody truly scare you in their pass rush room right now? I know that Kyle Van Noy has had a tremendous year so far on the other side of 30. I do. I know that. And I know they have other guys who have proven to be impactful, like Odafe Owe at times. But does anybody scare you? Does anybody scare you in their pass rush department? The answer for me would be no at this point. And by the way, one note on 6 here. We had a little bit of fun on Twitter with the hashtag Hail to the Ravens instead of the Commanders. Remember, he went to River Hill, for those of you locally. How cool is that? Not only are you a standout at River Hill in the DMV, but then you end up going to Maryland, College Park. You're a standout there. You go undrafted to the Ravens, and you make your debut 6 weeks into the season when the Ravens and Commanders meet up. That's a pretty darn cool story. Congratulations to Beau, friend of the show. Well, what an unbelievable streak that is still alive. The Ravens have a chance over the next few weeks to break their own record, which spanned 2018 to 2021 seasons, 43 games in a row, which marked the most consecutive games with 100-plus rushing yards in NFL history, tying the 1970s Steelers. Well, guess what? In comes the 2022 to the present Ravens, who are crawling up on that streak again, and you better believe John Harbaugh wants to knock this one out of the park. We all remember the friggin' controversy surrounding this, wasn't it, in Denver a few seasons ago? But here they come, and they're doing so with just an iconic talent. 132 rushing yards for the King, 2 touchdowns. The guy's on pace, wait for it. The guy's on pace for just south of 2,000 rushing yards and 26 total touchdowns in his first year with Baltimore. 1,995 rushing yards and 26 total touchdowns. That is just ridiculous. So far through 6 weeks, the Ravens' investment, the Ravens' bet, the calculated risk they took on that free agency acquisition back in March is paying off, and it is paying off in a big way. 13 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown on opening night in Kansas City. 18 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown, home opener, lost to Vegas. 25 carries, 151 yards and 2 tutties in Dallas in a win. 24 carries, 199 yards, 2 total touchdowns, primetime, smackdown against the Bills. 15 carries, 92 yards and a touchdown, including a massive overtime 51-yard burst in Cincinnati. And 24 carries for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday against the Commanders. This guy is as advertised, and he is an ascending player at 30. It doesn't make sense. This is defying NFL historical logic at his position, and he's defying it in Baltimore. Would you have it any other way? Dave won to cycle. Stop goofing around. Put on a damn Ravens polo. Thank you for the super chat donation, Dave. I don't want to thank you for the tweets that you've been sending me. You've been running your mouth, and you know it. Take your pick. Look at what this guy's doing production-wise. A touchdown week 1, a touchdown week 2, 2 tutties week 3, 2 tutties week 4, a touchdown week 5, and 2 touchdowns week 6. The guy is so heavily involved, and I think what's most impressive in recent weeks is that they haven't asked a whole lot of him like all 4 quarters, and then he goes and burns you just when you think you've handled him, just when you think you've kept him at bay, entering overtime, and he pops off for 51. Same thing yesterday, late in the 4th, you feel like you're done okay against him, pops off for 31. He is inevitable. And when you're getting contributions from your MVP like this, 363 all-purpose yards, 114.7 passer rating, like there's a certain margin for error for your defense when your offense is putting up this kind of production. And not to mention, Zay Flowers has a historic first half. 132 receiving yards, 9 receptions. He's killing you with bubble screens. He's killing you in the intermediate part of the field. He's killing you with yak yards. He's killing you with your lateral quickness. Zay Flowers says, sophomore slump who? I ain't buying any of that. No such thing. And Gianna Hahn caught up with Rashad Bateman postgame, who gave her a fantastic, selfless quote. Everybody knows Zay is our wide receiver 1. So it's good to see him put up numbers and feel like he's wide receiver 1. He's up there with other guys in the category, so it's good to see him have those games. Man, can we get a hat tip, please, for Rashad Bateman? This growth that we're watching right now from Bate, as he continues to be a complimentary piece, by the way, this year. I just want to give him major love because he has drawn a lot of criticism from this channel and many others and many of you. And you know what? A lot of that has been deserving. He's been dealt a tough hand off the field in recent years with personal stuff going on in his life. And now you're starting to see a player who understands his role, who's a reliable pass catcher, who's a technician, route runner, has always been since his time at Minnesota. And now he's starting to become a complementary piece within this offense, moving the chains, catching the ball on third down, picking up yak yards when possible. This is what we've been waiting for. Zay Flowers generated a career high, plus 41 yards after the catch over expected yesterday. His plus 72 receiving yards over expected is the 4th most by any wide receiver this season, and that's according to Next Gen Stats. This guy's exceptional. And Zay gives you that blend of speed, that little extra flavor, that zest to keep defenses honest. And as Grant Paulson told us on Friday on The Vault, who was my Commanders buddy, 106.7 The Fan personality, he did not feel like the Commanders matched up well defensively with the likes of Zay, and my oh my was he right. Let's open up the guest lines. Dreams, baby. Let's get it. Let's get you in here. Over 700 plus of you joining me here in the late afternoon hours on the 14th day of October 2024. I appreciate you guys for being here. Please like the video if you're enjoying the content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my live content. Dreams, you're always in the live chat. It's good to finally see your face. What you got for me today?
What's up, Bobby? Not much, man. Just, it's finally a great feeling to see Mark Andrews get in the end zone after 6 weeks. And if this defense can just pick it up, if they can figure it out, especially across the middle, nobody's stopping this team. I just think they just need to, I don't know what it is. I don't know what they got to do, what personnel they got to change, but something has to give because this is not the defense from last year at all.
Certainly not through 6 weeks. It feels a lot similar to what we saw in 2022, honestly, with Mike McDonald.
Right.
We've compared those defenses a lot. But yeah, with the way they're firing on all cylinders, I mentioned earlier on, it's giving the defense time to mold. It's creating a certain margin for error. And I don't want to accept what we've seen defense. I'm not saying that. Certainly far from nobody should accept what we've seen. There's no chance internally they're accepting what they've seen, which is, I think, what led to probably bringing in Dean Pease, right? To calm down things a little bit, bring in a veteran, bring in somebody who served as the defensive coordinator for several years, 2012 to 2017, knows Zach Orwell, can take something off his plate, can start to kind of give him perspective. I thought that was a really wise move. I don't know how much he was able to like truly change things in like 72 hours, but I like the idea of that boding. To me, that bodes well for cohesion in the near future. Maybe not necessarily right off the jump from Sunday.
And they got to start catching the interceptions. I think our Darius dropped one yesterday.
Holy hell. Okay, all right. You know what? So I tweeted this in game. I just didn't have time to like go back and look just because it's like fast paced. But our Darius dropped one yesterday. Wiggins dropped 2 the week prior. Roquan dropped 1 at least this year. So that's 1, 2, 4. That's 4 at least.
Those for interceptions, yeah.
I feel like Marlon may have had one at one
Yeah,
point.
Marlon had one, and Cal had one, but that was the holding call when he was slowly taking it down the field for no reason. But yeah.
So right there, you can rip off like 4 or 5 that should have been picks. But
easy interceptions, easy.
They'll come in time. Where are you at today?
I'm outside right now. I'm getting ready to feed these puppies. I got 8-week-old puppies in the back that's starving at the moment. So I'm just outside. I'm from Virginia, so the weather's nice right now.
Hell yeah, dude, it is unreal. I might be going down to Shenandoah this weekend, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's what's up. I mean, hopefully the weather's good for you. It's about to get cold this week though. So
you can feel it in the air. Me, that upstate New York blood. I'm loving this though. This is beautiful.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's different for you. I'm used to this temperature right here though.
Well, I appreciate you for calling in. Get those pups taken care of, and thanks for all the support. We always see you dropping in, and we appreciate you.
Oh yeah, y'all gonna like the video, man. With no problem, dog.
My man.
Enjoy
it all right, Virginia living. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Already.
All right. I love Virginia, man. Any chance I get to go down there, I really want to go to Old Rag and hike Shenandoah with my dog. Might be coming up this weekend. We'll see what happens. But anyway, about 50 minutes of content for you on this Monday afternoon. If you haven't already done so, please like the video, like Dream said. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Do all the good things that help me out on the back end. It really, really goes a long way. Prince Lee and everybody always asks, how can we donate? We don't want to go through Patreon. We don't want to go through Super Chats. We don't want to do anything. We want Venmo, Cash App. Well, there you have it. You can always do so this way to show your appreciation. And I just wanted to show my appreciation to you guys. You have been tremendous to me and Sarah so far this season. We have really seen and felt the love. So thank you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Thank you to Primary Residential Mortgage for supporting the channel and sponsoring this episode. And I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, if not before. Let's see what happens. The news cycle feels like it's a little chill this week, and maybe we'll get a nice reprieve or a nice a hiatus here with Monday Night Football coming up. We can actually watch football this upcoming weekend without having to, be locked in or grinding over game day. So I look forward to that. I appreciate you guys as always. I'll catch you soon.